Hello and welcome to this Q&A session. Today we're going to answer a question from one of our course participants about grammar translation. So Martina asks, is the grammar translation teaching method still used in secondary school? And how is it best combined with other methods? These are two important and interesting questions. Now, in terms of whether grammar translation is still used, there's an important caveat, which is what do we understand by grammar translation? Because if we're talking about strict adherence to the methods used centuries ago, then I think the answer would probably be no. There are a lot of factors at play in today's secondary schools, including, among other things, technology, the availability of authentic materials, the introduction of CLIL, interdisciplinary projects, and the fact that students themselves speak different first languages, so they wouldn't always be translating into their first language. So all of this leads me to think that strict adherence to grammar translation is pretty unlikely. However, if we consider grammar translation a little more loosely, as using deductive rather than inductive teaching, then yes, I think the likelihood that it's still in use is a bit higher. It's also the case that there isn't a lot of empirical classroom research on this in the Italian context, which makes it difficult, I think, to assess the extent to which this may be the case. And I'm personally not one for making assumptions and piling on school teachers for being old-fashioned, especially without evidence to support this kind of claims. Even if we do know that grammar translation is deeply rooted in the Italian educational system, because of the importance of teaching ancient Latin and ancient Greek, which were the original languages associated with grammar translation. But I think lots of teachers have innovated, they have moved towards more inductive teaching, and also some course books have nudged, I think, teachers in this direction too. Now, in terms of the second question, so how to combine grammar translation with other methods, I think it's important to specify once again that these methods and the boundaries of these methods are not written in stone. So teachers shouldn't be looking at them as individual self-contained units. And in terms of grammar teaching, broadly speaking, what we do know is that a lot of grammar acquisition in a second language, in a foreign language, happens without the learner realizing. A little bit like when we learn a grammar pattern, for example, by noticing it in a song. So according to research, explicit grammar instruction, in which we explain a grammar rule to our learners, may be useful, but only in sort of small doses. It should be part of an approach in which learners are exposed to a lot of input, they produce output, they have opportunities to notice and to try out the language, and then when a gap arises between what they know and what the target language is like, then some moments of explicit instruction in grammar explicit instruction, that may be appropriate. And one such approach is called focus on form, which we discuss in our course Language Teaching Methodology. So rather than adhering to a specific method, which may be too limited, I think the best thing for teachers to do is to do activities that follow these sort of instructed second language acquisition principles. Doing tasks, for example, from the TBLT approach is one way of doing this. And another final important point is that, as we explain in our course, Language Teaching Methodology, teachers nowadays hardly ever follow specific methods, unless, of course, this is somehow mandated by the school. So we tend to talk more about eclectic teachers who pick and choose techniques and activities that are appropriate for their classes. So I hope you've enjoyed this Q&A video, and if you'd like to find out more, you can see the links in the comments.